Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Claire. According to Marco Jacober, CEO of Lifehacks, the freelance workforce is growing 3 times faster than the traditional workforce, and the majority of work will be contracted by 2027. Couple this with technology bridging the gap between states and countries and the accessibility of products and services 24/7, and you've got a real opportunity to make a side business work for you. And at some point, if you love it enough, make it your full-time side gig career. One of the side gigs I've run across recently is in the wine industry. According to Forbes, U.S. wine consumption has grown from a volume consumption of 370 million gallons in 1993 to a current level of over 770 million gallons. In 2017, $40 billion was spent in wine sales. That's a lot of wine. Like everything else, the wine industry has been impacted by changes in demographics, technology, and budgets. It's not necessary to travel to France anymore to get high-quality French wines. The challenge is how to get the wines in the hands of consumers to maximize the quality, minimize the time, and fit into their budget. The wine world is changing from wholesale to direct sales. The rapid consolidation of grocery, retail, and wholesalers is creating a narrower path to market, especially for small wineries and limited production wines. The future opportunity for fine wine producers is to sell direct from the wineries to the consumers. But how do they find those distribution points? Join me and my next guest, Rashmi Malhotra, as she explains how one of the world's leading family-owned luxury fine wine companies has taken their 56 years of winery experience, leveraged education, technology, and their vision for the future to create a side opportunity like no other. Stay tuned and learn about Boisset wineries and how they are bringing their quality wines to a home near you. Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Claire. As you know, we love to have entrepreneurs, people who give back to the community, and people who like to have fun on our show. And today, I am so excited to welcome to the show Rashmi Malhotra of Boisset Collections. Welcome, Rashmi.
Thank you, Claire.
You're welcome. Hey, you know what? Maybe we ought to rename this Cocktails with Claire today, huh?
Or Wine with Claire.
Oh, yeah. So welcome to Coffee with Claire, and I'd love for you to tell our audience a little about you and how you got into this whole wine world.
Well, thank you so much again, Claire. As Claire said, you know, we're all about our passion and about our fun. So I always say that I'm a recovering executive from the telecom world. And what does that mean? You know, it means that, while I had an amazing ride, I got to do some things in my life that led me to my passion for wine. And, one of the things as I traveled all over the world, I would go to fine restaurants. I'd ask the concierge, can you please help me find a great kitchen with a somm where the chef and the somm can really create an experience for me. So what this created was my passion for wine and food. And so, it's kind of led me to where I am today with Boisset Collection. So I say that I'm a wine geek that now is passionate about the things that she loves in her life, which is around wine and food.
So you now find yourself immersed in this wine idea. And it sounds like it sprung from the experiences that you had worldwide.
Yes.
And now you get to dovetail it into something really fun. So tell us about how that journey went.
So, I've always loved the wine and food world. And so I have looked for opportunities where I could bring that passion to people that are in my life. I looked at brick and mortar opportunities, and they were really cost prohibitive. I had other wine companies pursue me, and I was just really not interested because while I'm not a wine snob, I really do love quality wines. And I do love luxury fine wines. So when my friend invited me to come and have lunch with her and talk about Boisset Collection, I was like, I'm not really interested, because,
you'd heard a pitch before and
several times.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, I said, no, I'm not really interested. I just started a technology business, and so I'm immersed in that right now. She said, just try the wines. I'm like, nope. So fast forward, she had a Beauty and Bubbles party.
Okay.
And she invited me to that. And I went to it, not really knowing what to expect. And the first glass of wine, sparkling wine or bubbles that they gave us was the JCB 69. And so I took my first sip. I say it was love at first sip. And I always say they had me at the 69. And this is the wine that we're drinking today, the JCB 69, and it's
so
right
that's
there
this
to your
one right
yes,
here, right?
yes.
Okay, so JCB number 69, Rosé Burgundy.
Yes, and it stands for the year that Jean-Charles Boisset was born. So,
Oh, very nice.
so we have a lot of fun, and it's just fun to enjoy the wines and have a little, cute little story around them too. So
Well, yeah, and a little bit of extra income coming in.
Yes.
Because I know that you're a big fan of having multiple streams of income. So can you share with the audience a little bit about what your opinion is on that and how you form that opinion?
So, I wish I'd done this when I was in the corporate world. So I'm kind of speaking from, personal desire and experience. I always say to everybody, find a side gig. Whatever you're passionate about, look for an opportunity around your passion, because you just never know when that side gig may need to be your primary gig.
Yeah.
So I recommend to everybody to find, multiple streams of income around their passion. There's so many opportunities out there, direct sales, franchise, or even just, start your own business. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is kind of nice to be able to diversify your portfolio like that to where you're not dependent on just one thing, because what if you get laid off? Well, at least if that happens, you've got this side gig that you could pour more time in. It could actually be a blessing.
Absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely.
it's a really
Yes.
great strategy for a business person. So you have told me a lot about the wine industry in the past, and I'd love for you to share with the audience what you've seen happen. You've been with the business now for about 5 years, and you've even in the 5 years seen some transition in the wine industry. So tell us a little bit about what you've seen in that transition.
So the wine industry is about a $40 billion industry that is rapidly growing. And, the space that's growing is direct to consumer, which is where we are part of.
Okay.
We are bringing our wines, to people in home or in offices, and, all the experiences. Technology also has been a huge component in changing the wine industry. People are they're reducing the consumption of wine purchases from grocery store or the traditional, mode of purchase, and are looking for alternatives. And, this is an alternative. And again, while it's around a $3 billion market direct to consumer, it is ever growing. And so when I started looking at some of these metrics, and, please remember, I come from the technology world, so I'm always looking at where things stand, and I'm looking at the absolute values in that. And I started looking at that. I said, this is a no-brainer, because America is so far behind the rest of the world. We have a great opportunity to catch up, and why not be in it?
Yeah. So, you see a lot of the grocery stores consolidating, retail stores are closing, and I think you even mentioned it earlier when you were looking at it, the brick and mortar was cost prohibitive. So this is a really great way to get involved in something that doesn't have a big startup cost, but can have a big payoff at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How, where can you get into the wine business for as little as $42? We'll talk a little bit more about that. But
that's a bottle of wine right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've been with Boisset for about 5 years now. So what are some of the reasons that you decided, okay, this is what I want? Because, like you said earlier, you had been approached by a couple of different companies. So what's the differentiator?
So Yes. One of the things that I love about Boisset is that we are a fine wine, a luxury brand. Boisset started in 1961. Jean-Charles Boisset, who's our proprietor, his parents started a small business in the heart of the wine world in Burgundy, and started by purchasing small wineries. And really, that's a really important factor because we own our wineries. We have about 25 wineries worldwide, starting in, obviously our heritage is from Burgundy, but they're all over France and also in California. So in 2000 and early 2003, Jean-Charles Boisset moved to California. So, they'd already had this legacy of these beautiful century-old wineries and vineyards in Burgundy, some of them as old as when the monks were making the wine.
Oh, wow.
So and fabulous wines. So we're talking amazing terroir. The price point is just prohibitive now. No one can buy even an acre out there. So when he moved to California, he started purchasing wineries like some you may recognize: Deloach, Buena Vista, Raymond. Buena Vista actually is one of our oldest wineries in California.
Oh.
And when his sister had come with his grandparents to visit California, they'd fallen in love with Buena Vista. And the power of vision is they put it on their vision, maybe not a vision board, but in their vision of purchasing Buena Vista. And, so many years later, they now, Buena Vista is part of our portfolio. And, through all of this, they made it biodynamic and really made it self-sustaining, which is very important for all of us.
Sure. And
I say that, during this whole time, Jean-Charles met and married. Who did he?
Well, Miss Gallo, the one that you've got her lips around your neck.
That's right. These are Gina's lips. So Jean-Charles also loves to make jewelry, and we've got a few samples here. So, as a visionary, he's really expanded and taken us into the wine world. Started the Boisset Ambassador Program, and helped us bring these beautiful wines in home, in offices, really bringing the wine experience to our clients and our consumers. So we love that.
It makes it so convenient for them. It's a great way to host a party that has a theme to it, that has some educational value to it, and it's never, ever felt like, to me, it's pushy. It's always about, I just want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy. I want you to unwind and relax. And, it's about the experience.
Exactly.
And once you have that experience, then if you want to buy a bottle of wine, you can. If you want to be involved a little bit more, you can. So it's all about your choice and what you feel comfortable with. So you've mentioned the ambassador program. There's also a wine society, right? So tell us a little bit about the wine society.
Oh, absolutely. So I always say that there's kind of 4 ways to continue to play with us. So people are looking for fun things to do. We talked about the wine experience. So we have about 6 different curated wine experiences that we bring, in home, in office, and they're beautiful. They go from bubbles, what we're drinking today, to our Grand Reserve, which is, some of our higher end wines. One of the things that I didn't mention earlier, our price points go from, $15, $16 all the way to $400, So it's really wherever your palate and whatever your desire is for the wines.
I love that.
I do too.
Gives you lots of versatility. If you've got a really big gathering and you don't, maybe you'll have your really nice wine at the beginning, and then towards the end, you have your $15 wine. But if you just want to have a bottle of wine for to have around the house, you may not want to have a $150 bottle of wine. Got that,
Yes.
got it covered.
Exactly. And to the point that you were making earlier, Claire, it's really about the fun and the experience.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do with the wine experiences. We love to bring those experiences to people in a guided tasting environment. But also what I love is what I call our retail side, which is the Wine Society. And Wine Society is probably the most flexible, or the Boisset Wine Society is the most flexible wine club on the market. So you have the flexibility and you have access to all our wines. So you're not just restricted to a wine club that only offers one winery. You have access to all the wines that are part of our portfolio. You can do it monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly. It can be as simple as 3 bottles, 6 bottles, 12 bottles.
And that's over a whole year, right?
That's over a whole year. And then also you have access to all of our wineries. So you can go to the wineries in Napa, in Sonoma, in Burgundy, and experience the wines. And, quite often, most of the time, they're complimentary. So,
wow, that's
how
awesome.
Wonderful is that? So if you're planning a trip to Burgundy, please contact us because we'll show you how to have a great time with our Burgundian wines or Napa or
So a Wine Society member would have access to know how to get in touch with those wineries and set up a tour or a tasting or something like that?
Absolutely. And we can help them with that. I've helped, several of my clients. One of them actually got engaged in the Red Room at Raymond. And there's a beautiful story around that. And so, we help them. We know the people in the wineries and the tasting rooms. And so once we understand our clients, we're really their wine ambassadors, their wine curators. So once we understand what our Wine Society members like, we can really tailor the experience for them.
Wow.
And, a couple other things that we also do is, and I know this is something that you're very much partial to, and that is gifting.
Yes. Yes, I am way into that. In fact, I've got my coffeewithclaire.tv wine right here, and I love this because you can choose. There's several different varieties you can choose from, and you can put your own custom label on it. And I am giving this to guests of the show. I'm giving it to people that book me for speaking engagements. And around the holidays, this was the best gift. You'd think that I gave them a pot of gold. They're like, oh my God, look at this. It's even got your label on it. It's like, yeah, that's me. So it makes, I think, a really nice impression. Plus, it's a great wine. This is from Raymond. This is a wine that I drank before I even knew about Boisset. So, to me, it's got the value, it's got the pop, Then there's also things besides just the private label wine that you can do. You can also do the jewelry, as you mentioned, and there's several different collections of the jewelries, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And then the boxed wines, it comes in this beautiful black box that it's just so elegant when you open it up, and you can get champagne in it or bubbles. You can get different kinds of wines, and
absolutely
around the holidays even said "Be Merry and Happy Holidays." I mean, so they do a great job.
And one of the ones that I always love to touch on and share, especially in the holiday season, February is a great month for this as well, and that is we're partnered with John Legend.
Right. So
Jean-Charles and John Legend are good friends, and we have a partnership with John Legend, and so we do his wines. So, what better gift, a beautiful bottle of wine and a piece of gorgeous jewelry. Who wouldn't love that? And men, we haven't forgotten about you, gentlemen. We also have cufflinks, so there's Jean-Charles has got everything for everyone, and we love that. One of the things that I forgot to mention as part of the Wine Society, it's 20% saving, and so on everything that you buy, with the exception of some of our higher end wines, but you can get 20% savings on your custom label, on your gifts, and also on everything that you're drinking on an everyday basis.
Plus, it's delivered to your house.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You don't have to get out of the house if you don't want. You could be a hermit wine person.
Exactly. And last but not least, I just want to touch on the Wine Ambassador program, because we'd love for you to come and play with us. And being a wine ambassador really has its privileges. I say Wine Society membership has its privileges, but wine ambassadors really have privileges, and that is, you can join as little as $42, and every purchase that you make, or your clients make, you make money on it. And so, it gives you an opportunity to buy more wine and have more fun. You can travel to Napa, to France, and there's just a lot of fun things around it.
And they have a retreat, an educational opportunity.
Yes.
There's a big one every year, and then there's several smaller things that happen throughout the year. So
Yes.
That's happening very soon, right?
Yeah, so we have a retreat coming up next week, actually. Wow. And we're really looking forward to it. So it's in February this year. And, we get an opportunity. We have leaders, and then we have education days. And we also have a full-time somm, who does a lot of our education. So I think one of the first questions you ever asked me was, do I have to know a lot about wine?
Yeah.
And no.
I mean, I know I like to drink it, but
no, we've got regular training, and we've got, as you mentioned, several times a year, Marnie Old, our somm, our educator, and actually author, comes and trains us. And, obviously when we go to California for retreat. So there's just a lot of education. You can learn as much or as little. You can just focus on the fun aspect of it, or you can go delve really deep into the bits and bytes. It's really up to you.
And I will admit that Rashmi has got me hooked on this, and I joined as an ambassador. And so my website is boissetcollection.com/Claire Billingsley, and we'll have that on the Coffee with Claire website. And we also featured Jean-Charles and I in an interview on the newsletter that we just sent out. And he is a hoot. I mean, I'm sure that you really enjoy spending time with him, because you're one of the top performers in his company. So
thank you.
Is he? I bet he's a lot of fun to be around when
he
he's
absolutely is. When he's on and off camera, he is a lot of fun. He is truly a visionary, so he decided that this is something he wanted to do, because the traditional way of bringing wine to consumers doesn't allow you to touch and develop deep relationships. So that's why we're doing this. And he's also one of the top 50, according to Decanter, of leading wine experts and wine leaders in the world. So,
wow.
So we love that.
Well, here's to Jean-Charles, here's to Boisset, and here's to Rashmi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Here's to you,
for
Claire.
being here on Coffee with Claire, or Cocktails with Claire today.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in, you guys. We really appreciate you following us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with Claire. To learn more about today's guests, visit their website or find them on Facebook. To learn more about me, Claire Billingsley, follow me on LinkedIn or visit my website at coffeewithclaire.tv. And to hear more episodes of Coffee with Claire, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast and social media platforms.